fighters because they're so incapable, right? They're from helicopters, right? How the U.S. can simply neutralize the entire forces of the Syrian Air Force, their helicopter fleet, right? With simple drone strikes, right? This will not be that difficult of a task for the United States Air Force. So we see, and also we can, no thank you. And also we see that this is what Ruby brings to us, right? That we are not going to have any type of end to this conflict until one force is victorious, right? And then you're weighing options, right? Who would you rather see victorious? A man who is a brutal dictator and has killed tens of thousands of people in just a 2-year conflict, or people who are willing to fight to the death for their freedom? They may have different views from us, they may have different culture from us, but yes, these people are willing to fight. They may not put in a government that we agree with, but that's okay. It's their right to self-determination. They can choose what they want for their own people. That's their sovereignty as a free Syrian army, as a free peoples, right? The refugees need to be able to have access to some aid in order to even survive this conflict out, in order to even survive in foreign nations, survive in refugee camps, right, which are incredibly brutal conditions most often, right? No access to resources, very little access to any sort of medical aid whatsoever, and the medical aid or resources are spread incredibly thin. So we see this as incredibly problematic for not only the rebuilding, for not only the victory of the Free Syrian Army, who we are trying to aid in this instance, right? Like, we don't want Bashar al-Assad to keep this power. It's been an incredibly brutal dictatorship. This man has killed tens of thousands of people, which I've stated over and over. So what have I brought to you today? Ruby tells us that we want to be able to offer aid not only to the Free Syrian Army, but we want to be able to offer aid to the refugees, right? So once the Free Syrian Army is victorious, and with the help of the U.S. intervention, they will have some ability to rebuild, right? Like the women and children that have survived, that have been able to flee, will be able to return to the nation in somewhat of health and able-bodiedness, right? So that's why I'm proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Shake hands with the president.
Good speech, man.
Good job.